And Benny White's catching that ball against Tennessee. I have to go back to '84 and coming across the field at the end of the game and getting us down there until Lampley on a pitch out took it down to the 1 foot line. Those were exciting times. I was also Scott Spellman. I got to say, you know, I have no contact basically with Scott over the years, but when I heard he was injured in Iraq, came back and couldn't wait to get back to his battalion, that told me the type of person that Scott is. I mean, that's really the defensive backs. It's funny, this thing was mentioned by a couple guys here tonight. Thompson, Berdan, Matt Buckner, Londo, Phil Conister, Chance Connor, so forth. One night out at Buckner, 2-a-day camp. And I think this was the fall before '85, but anyhow, one time out there, I was asleep, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, there's this tremendous noise going on, yelling and shouting. And so I got up and I went out, and these defensive backs were having initiation of the plebes, I guess. And it hit me wrong because I didn't want one particular unit conducting initiations and being separate from the rest of the team. I wanted everybody to be together as a team. So I really got mad. And I got those guys out at 5 o'clock. And we ran and we ran and we ran and we ran. And I don't know where they had any initiations again, but they didn't wake me up. But they as a group, they always did a great job, because, you know, a defensive back, whether you play zone or man-to-man, at some point it's one-on-one. And if the receiver is 4'4" and you're 4'8", that's a real challenge. And our guys always stepped up to it. I'm proud of that. Craig Stopa, great kicker. He's not here, but certainly helped us win a great many of our games. Another guy, not a player necessarily, but Colonel Berry. Colonel Berry over here. I think of two things when I think of Colonel Berry. I think of that camp's post stool that he used to sit on out at practice all the time, and the fact that it was his idea. I think General Wickham had been a student of his at Harvard, if I remember right, and he got the team invited down to the Pentagon and then to the White House to meet the president. Now, it may have been done before, but I don't think so. You know, today, every team in every sport goes to the White House to meet the president. Back then, it was something new, and Colonel Berry had a big hand in it. Clarence Jones, great runs, usually from pitch outs from Healy, but great run. '84 Navy game when Doug Black put that counter play and put that block on the man, and we scored first touchdown, I think, in 26 quarters or something like that against Navy. The run out here in Western Michigan, the opening game of that season when he went about 60 yards. And Bill Lampley already mentioned that play against Tennessee. And those are the two men that shared a little bit of the, just a little bit, in the touchdown passes that Healy was responsible for. Ron Rice, 2-year starter at center. And the most unusual thing I remember about Ron, he was a fine football player, played at about 245 or 250. 3 months after that season ended, the '85 season ended, he was 180 pounds. And I could never understand how anybody had to drop, what, for pass the test. And he lost like 50 pounds just like that. It was, instead of a big bulky center, he was a little thin split receiver, just like that. Will Sanders, Actually, I was going to have him come up here and do me. I remember out at Bear Mountain one time when he gave his impressions of me, and the way I mispronounce my words and so forth. And my wife still gets on me for the way I mispronounce words. Joe Manassas. That year at the Peach Bowl, we had 5 centers starting in the offensive line when we played. Everybody that started, tackle, guard, center, had one time been a center. Joe had been a center. And as I think I'm sort of telling a story that I heard, but Joe was sitting with the Illinois players at the banquet, and the Illinois defensive tackle, who later played a lot in the pros, I forgot his name, but about 280, 90-pound defensive tackle. And he asked Joe, he's a defensive right tackle, let's say, and he said, Joe, what position you play? Expecting him to say running back or something, because Joe's about 220. And he said, oh, I'm left offensive tackle. And the guy laughed at him, you know, but he didn't where's Joe? But he didn't laugh after the game, did he? No. And a guy that was a plebe on the team that's here, and I guess he got to play a little bit when Craig Rollins got in trouble for something. I don't know what, but it was Greg Gadsden. And I'm not going into a lot about Greg, but I wanted to tell you one of the proudest things. I'll say a little bit about football, and then one of the things I'm proud about. Football, he played against this guy in the '88 Sun Bowl, big tight end from Alabama, and stuffed him. Did a heck of a job there. But about 3 years ago, after he had his severe injury in May, he came out to Tucson in early October, the end of September, to speak to the Arizona football team. And I met him at the airport. He was going to stay with us and then go with the Arizona football team. I went out there, and here he comes, walking by himself, no help, down that ramp to see me. And I thought that, I mean, what determination and what dedication to getting it going Greg had. And I'm very proud of, to me, that's Greg Gadsden, and I know he's done a lot of other things before and since then, but that's what sticks in my mind. Bill, there. You know, we have those forgotten linemen that were, some of them are here. Tom Malloy's not. Lloyd Walker, who didn't graduate ultimately from the academy, but had a great lot to do with that '85 football team. Brother Ratliff, Jerry Gillespie, already mentioned, well, Mike Rounds, I saw him come in, Dan Stredler, and go on, and mention others. Scott Rainey, the punter, is here. Mike Tees, who didn't play in '85, but played in '84, a very fine defensive back. Was really lucky that he didn't receive more severe injury than he did up at Syracuse, and glad to see Mike here.